Stronger than a whale, he can swim anywhere.
He can breathe underwater and go flying through the air.
The noble submariner, prince of the deep, will be waiting every demon.
For Namor of Atlantis is the prince of the deep.
One thing you can't help but love about these cartoons is those theme songs. For being less than 20 seconds long, a lot is packed into them. The only one I don't care for that much is Captain America's, but we'll get to that if we haven't already. With the copyright stuff that's going on, it's hard to tell what order I'll be able to post these in. Prince Namor, known to surface dwellers as the Submariner, has a complicated history. Bill Everett created him in 1939, and he was very popular in the golden age of comics. He made his way through the 50s and the Silver Age and persists today. But when I was collecting comics, I got my hands on some of those older ones, one from the 40s and one from the 50s. In the 40s, he was only a semi-good guy. He had issues with us surface people, mainly because of the lousy way we treat the oceans. He'd often help fight the Nazis, but only because they were worse than the Allies. He'd have loved to eliminate all of us, but he really was a decent guy. The 50s one that I had was even stranger. In that one, Namor had been put into some kind of chamber that was supposed to do something or other to him, and when he came out, his ears were pointy and he had wings on his feet, both of which he already had in the 40s. He also talked very differently. He used all kinds of surface slang, and his favorite expletive was sufferin' shad. Bear in mind, I just reports them, I doesn't explains them. I mentioned all that to say that the Namor we have in the cartoons is the early 60s one. He's angry with the surface people because we're such polluters, but he prefers diplomacy to confrontation. Right now, though, he has a different problem.
An atmosphere of gloom pervades the fabled city of Atlantis, for within the Palace Royal, its monarch, Prince Namor I, lies ill.
Still the fever rages. My Lord Vashti, there must be more we can do.
Our court physician is doing all that can be done, Lady Dorma.
We can do naught but wait. The drug I have given him will induce deep sleep until the fever abates.
This could be a very short cartoon. Lord Vashti was Namor's trusted advisor, and Lady Dorma was his main squeeze. It's implied that she's his wife, but it's never stated, and on at least one occasion, another woman got his attention. We'll see it in this series. So whether they're married, engaged, cohabiting, or just bopping partners is never clearly defined.
Exhausted from many sleepless hours, the Lady Dorma soon falls into deep slumber, unaware that her prince is gone.
Oh, doctor, there's something you need to know about your sleeping potion. Unknown to anybody in Atlantis, Namor has washed up onto a beach.
My head spins, and my limbs are weak, yet some powerful compulsion drives me on. There is something here that I must find. I must.
It's right there in the sand, but I can't quite make it out.
Hey, buddy, there's a law about sleeping on the beach. Come on your feet. What's your name, and where do you live?
I cannot remember.
A trip to the station might refresh your memory.
Unhand me, no one touches my person.
And nobody strikes an officer of the law. You're under arrest.
Think you your puny weapons can frighten me?
Brother, that does it. I'll book you for... Hey, what the...
One of the funniest things about the Marvel Universe was when you're somebody like Namor or Thor, the higher up you are in the royal hierarchy, the fewer contractions you use. It sounds more nobly born to say, I do not know, instead of, I don't know. This cop figures he's just another dude camping out on the beach. He's wearing nothing but swim trunks, he has pointed ears, and wings on his feet. Yep, just another dude.
I tell you, Captain, the guy had wings on his feet. He just up and flew away. Yes, that's him, all right. Him? Who? The Submariner. I wonder what brought him back to the surface. You mean he came out of the sea? That's right. And he has little love for surface people. There's no telling what he's up to, but you can be sure it's no good. Put out an all-points bulletin for Namor, the Submariner.
I'm not sure when the change came, but today they call it a bolo. Be on the lookout. The result is the same. All the cops in the city are trying to find him. We won't get the details of what happened last time he appeared, but it's easy to tell that nobody went away from it happy. Unlike Aquaman, Namor can survive out of water for a long time, though he gets weaker the longer he's out. He's still feeling that compulsion to find something, but he doesn't know what it is or where to start looking.
At last, he has returned. My chance has come.
A word about my sources since we had that little glitch. These cartoons were never released on home media. A few individual ones appeared on VHS, but any and all plans to release the whole mess on DVD have been scrapped multiple times. There are DVDs available on eBay. They appear to be VHS captures from TV that were transferred to DVD in an MP4 format. I don't like it, but in an instance like this, you take what you can get. There may be a few more of those little hiccups as we go along. For what they are, the DVDs are decently priced and worth buying, but you didn't hear that from me.
Ah, Freddy and George, I have a most important job for you.
The Submariner is back?
Quite correct. And you must find him before the police do.
How will we recognize him?
It would be very difficult to make a mistake. However, to erase any doubt, study this picture.
Fred and George. Boy, the Weasley twins have fallen pretty far. And if they have to study that picture for more than about 3 seconds, they may not be the best ones for the job.
The Submariner has been sighted on a rooftop at 5th and Clover. Police are on the way. We ask all citizens to stay clear of the area. Step on it, George. We've got to get there first.
Then a car built more recently than the 30s might be helpful. But even with that thing, they're staying one step ahead of the police.
We're in, but once we get the Submariner, how do we get out?
I'll show you.
You say you saw the Submariner flying toward Central Park?
That's right. He flew out of a window just before the police arrived.
Who's calling?
The next question, how do they convince Namor to come with them? He doesn't even know who he is, much less who they are.
Still the enemy hovers above. My only escape is through this accursed building. It is too quiet. I sense a presence of danger.
Ah, at last we meet, and you will not escape us.
Two goons think they're just gonna grab him and drag him to the lady.
Only we can get you out of here safely. So if you're smart, you'll come along quietly.
I'll not comply with your demand.
Then we'll be compelled to take you by force. Take him, George.
Well, turns out Fred was telling the truth after all. He did fly out a window. When Fred wakes up, he should feel a little better about himself. Mrs. B isn't happy with them, though.
How could you be so careless? Did you really think you could take the Submariner by force?
You briefed us that he was strong.
But you didn't tell us how strong.
My one consolation is that the police do not have him either. I will give you another chance. But this time, use your heads.
Right. You want we should hit him with our heads this time. These two may require a much more detailed explanation of what she means by that.
What mysterious force urges me on? I must not stop, yet my limbs grow weak. I must find water, for only that will restore my waning strength.
He doesn't know who he is or where he's from, but he does know that. Amnesia can be capricious like that. The fever undoubtedly triggered it, so as it wanes, his memory should come back. The biggest problem right now is the police also know he needs to get to water, so they're covering every potential water source in the city, including the docks.
What would you do if you really saw the Submariner?
I'll tell you what I'd do. I'd clip his wings, that's what.
Well, if I'm seeing right, you just might get the chance. Look over there.
The sea, the life-giving sea. I must reach it.
I'll bet there's a nice fat reward out for him.
What are we waiting for?
The sea. I must reach the sea.
Yeah, you guys have fun trying to stop him. It takes maybe 5 seconds, but only because he's still pretty weak from being out of the water so long.
There he is! Surround him!
to fly farther.
He has not the strength to figure out he's going the wrong direction either. The water is that way.
There is no sign of the Submariner.
And he can't have gone back to the sea because the police have every inch of waterfront covered.
Of course. Why didn't I think of that? Without water, he cannot live, which makes finding him even more urgent.
They've even covered the fountain in Rockefeller Plaza.
Ah, but there is one place that would be most natural to him.
The aquarium.
Sure enough, that's where he is. I still wonder why he didn't zig instead of zag and just head for the open ocean.
The life-giving force of the seawater surges through my veins again. Only moments more, my friends, and I shall be able to...
We have you. There's no way out.
How are we going to get him out of there?
Same as we would any creature of the sea. With a net.
Now that he's at full strength, he should be able to rip it to shreds, but he lets them reel him in.
They have him.
Now, what do we tell Mrs. B?
There is still a way.
Why? What am I doing here?
Hold on, that net rendered him unconscious? I want to see what it's made of. He won't be in jail for long, though. Fred and George just posted his bail. The city has been going ape because he showed up. They've got him under wraps, and a judge gave him bail. I have a feeling there are a lot of unhappy police in New York right now.
What do you want of me?
The money came from a lady who's very anxious to speak with you.
How do I know this is not a trap?
Well, you have only my word, and the promise of the lady that once you've seen her, you'll be free to go.
Very well. But should you think to deceive me...
Oh, no. Say no more. I recall our last encounter only too well.
Gee, talking to him worked better than trying to drag him away. Who knew? What Mrs. B wants with him is the last thing any of us expected.
Welcome, Namor.
Why do you call me Namor?
Don't you know your own name?
I know only that a strange compulsion has driven me on, and though I have reached the end, I still know not what I was seeking.
Perhaps I do.
She's what he came to find. She has quite a tale to relate.
It began many years ago, near the South Pole. A young captain aboard an icebreaker ship gave an order that was to determine your fate.
Depth charge is in place, sir. Good. Fire away.
Unknown to anyone, an entire race of subaqueous humans, the species Homo mermanus, live right below them in the spectacular city of Atlantis. Once the depth charges detonate, suddenly Atlantis isn't so spectacular anymore. Their king reasonably concludes that the surface dwellers are attacking them.
I shall order a force to go above and investigate.
No, Father. To send a force would mean bloodshed. Let me go. And though the king resisted, the strong-willed Princess then had her way. Reaching the oracle, she climbed aboard the silent ship.
And thus begins the story of Beauty and the Boat.
Oh! Who are you? Now look what I found, Captain. Where did you come from? She's having trouble breathing. She fainted. Get some water, quickly.
It's pretty formulaic. She and the boat captain fall in love, and she decides to stay on the surface with him. And of course, they're having a baby. And of course, her dad, the king, doesn't know any of this.
The king, concerned about his daughter's prolonged absence, dispatched a war party to rescue the princess.
Captain, we're being attacked!
She could have sent a message back to Atlantis telling her dad what she was doing. He could have sent an emissary to the surface to ask what she was doing. I think this guy wanted war with the surface people. He got it, but I hope he's okay with what it cost him.
And so the heartbroken princess returned to Atlantis to bear a son, then die of a broken heart.
All it cost him was his daughter. Obviously, Namor is the child.
But how could you know all this?
Because that young captain was my son. Look at me, Namor, and you will know I speak the truth.
I believe you, and I pay you homage.
It is not homage that I want. It is to give you your surface heritage. Stay here with me. You shall inherit all my wealth.
I hope she's on good terms with the police because they may object to her plan.
You are most generous, but I too have wealth. The wealth of a people who love me, and the love of Lady Dorma.
Lady Dorma?
Without her, I could not live, and she would surely die, as my mother did, if I do not return.
She suddenly realizes she's being selfish. She wants this for her, not for him. He has his own life, and she would be taking it from him. I guess she's not on good terms with the police because she has Fred and George rustle up some surface clothes for Namor, and they all head for her yacht.
Police.
Freddy will handle him.
Evening, officer. Any sign of the Submariner?
Not a nibble. Say, who's that?
Why, that's Mrs. B and her grandson. And I'd better catch up with them.
The best part? Everything he said was true. Mrs. B can be happy for the rest of her life, and Namor can be proud of his surface half.
Dorma.
Namor, you did return to me.
Yes, and here will I stay forever.
And then there are the fringe benefits of going home. I don't think my TV channel ever aired this episode way back when because I don't remember it at all. It's a serious departure from the usual fare in these cartoons. Rather than action-adventure, we have a puzzle with a beautiful and tender resolution. Along the way, we learn Namor's origin. None of it explains the wings on his feet, but we'll avoid that topic. It's a nice introduction to the series and suggests that Namor's stories might be a little more cerebral than the other guys. There's only one way to find out if that's the case, and that's to keep watching. Well, if we must, we must. We'll endure somehow.
Stronger than a whale, he can swim anywhere.
He can breathe underwater and go flying through the air.
The noble submariner, prince of the deep, to beware the deadly demon.
Lord Namor of Atlantis is the prince of the deep.
One thing you can't dig. The police also notice they say still don't.